Om Shri Ganeshaya Namah. Namaste. Welcome to our next talks on the Bhagavad Gita. All right, we'll begin now on the 39th verse of the second chapter. Krishna says to Arjuna, I have explained to you the true nature of the Atman. And that's a very important thing, that word true put before nature, because people have all kinds of very wrong ideas about themselves. They think, for example, there was a time I didn't exist. Then, boom, God just made me be out of nothing. And if I'm good, I'll go to heaven and be bored to death with the company of holy people for eternity. Or I'll go to hell and be miserable with bad people for all of eternity. There, you see, some choice. So then he says, but of course, that's a false idea of the self. The self is divine consciousness itself, as is the ocean as is the wave, is as a part of the ocean, pure ocean water. So the Atman, as a part of the infinite, the Paramatma, Parabrahman, the cosmic being, partakes of the very same nature. So we are that. That's why the great sages of India say, thou art that, you are that. But before they say it, they explain the nature of Brahman and the nature of the individual Atman, the finite consciousness within the infinite consciousness. And Krishna has talked about this to Arjuna. So he says, now listen to the method of karma yoga. Now, karma means action, any kind of action. It could be mental action, emotional action, as well as verbal action in speech and physical action. And they all have a consequence, because we're living in a field of divine power, divine energy, that is also divine consciousness, divine awareness. So everything we do in that field of energy creates an impression. And since for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction, in response to the impression that each of us makes in that universal power, the Vishwa Shakti, it comes back to us. It's like an echo. Whatever words you call out, the echo comes back, because it's really your own voice. And so that's what karma is. It's your own action coming back to you. So Krishna is not just saying, all right, this is the way it is, so learn to live with it. He's going to say, this is the way it is, so you can take charge of it. And you can make it be what you want. Right now, even doing this, I am creating a future karma. I'm creating something that will come to me in response in a future life. Hopefully, I'm telling you the truth, and I'm telling you the whole truth. So, in a future life, when I need to know the whole truth and nothing but the truth, someone will speak that to me as I'm speaking it to you. You could ask, well, aren't you going to transcend and go beyond it? Hopefully so, but when you're in kindergarten, don't start talking about what color gown you want to wear when you graduate from college, or what you plan to do after you get your PhD degree, because it may not happen. Positive thinking counts for very, very little because the human mind is weak. So, what kind of a great power can it put out? But human action has an unresistible power. So understand, you do have that power in your mind. Therefore, Krishna is going to make quite a point about this. Karma yoga, it means the action by which you program your future life and your future mind. Now, that may just be 3 days from now, but it is in the future, and you'll be doing it because you're in charge. There's a certain level where God is in total charge, and another level where God isn't in charge at all. You are in charge. It's a big responsibility. So he says, if you can understand and follow it, you will be able to break the chains of desire which bind you to your actions. This is very, very important because all of our actions are a result of I want on many levels. And this makes us do things, even if we hate the sound of a loud noise, so we close our ears. That's a karma, and our desire is to not hear it. So the more we act, the more bondage we produce. So Krishna is saying, now I'm going to tell you how to act so that there will not be, so at the least there will be no future bondage created by it, but at the best, future freedom will be the result of these actions. Therefore, he continues, in this yoga, even the abortive attempt is not wasted because that happens to us from life to life. We think, I ought to learn a little bit about spiritual life. So we just learn a little bit and we just do a little bit. But that's better than nothing. So in the next life, we think, I better learn at least something pretty substantial about spiritual life. You see, and it will grow, it will gather interest. In a sense, all of your actions is a kind of, all actions are a kind of investment. So he says, even if you try it and you fail, what you did successfully, though you didn't carry it out to the full end, will be a positive karma that will make you stronger the next time around. Nor can it produce a contrary result. You can't have something go bad because of it when you do it in the right way. Even a little practice of this yoga will save you from the terrible wheel of rebirth and death. That's amazing. But you see, it's our nature to be free from the wheel of rebirth and death. So it doesn't take a tremendous amount. It just takes up a how about standing up and walking out of the room, and then when the bomb drops on it, you won't be hurt. So it's very easy and very simple, and it's very complicated and very hard, just depending on where our mind is posited and the type of mind we have. All right. In this yoga, the will is directed singly toward one ideal, that is liberation, not just being free from karma. How much karma does a rock have? How much karma does a tree have? None. Are they enlightened? Would you like to change places with them? I hope not. So that's very important too. There's only one ideal, and it is your enlightenment, which results in liberation. So you could say the desire is also for liberation. A liberated consciousness, you see. When a man lacks this discrimination, his will wanders in all directions after innumerable aims, including I want to please God. I want God to be pleased with me and bless me so everything will go well for me in the future. God isn't a vending machine. He's not a one armed bandit. You put in the coin, you pull the handle, and supposedly, hopefully, you'll get the payoff. No, it doesn't work that way. There are laws. There is no luck. There is no good luck. There is no good fortune. And you say, what about the grace of God? Karma is itself the grace of God. The law you have to follow is itself the grace of God. Yes, the pain you undertake to try to help you to realize don't do that anymore, that's the grace of God too. It is like, famous Henny Youngman. I went to the doctor and said, Doctor, it hurts when I do this. And he said, Don't do that. Well, that's really the sum of a lot of spiritual wisdom, frankly. So, when we don't know this, we'll want this, we'll want that. I just know that will be everything for me. It will fulfill me. Oh, if I just marry so and so. See, they say, we always see it in the movies. The poor man even sometimes kneels down as if he's before God. Will you agree to marry me and make me the happiest man in the world? Who do you know that ever was made the happiest person in the world for whoever they married? Doesn't work. See what fools we mortals be, as I think it was Shakespeare said. So his will wanders in all directions after innumerable aims. But Jesus said to Saint Martha, you see, you are anxious and involved with many things, but only one thing is needed. And the one thing is your own self and your own self realization. All right. Those who lack discrimination may quote the letter of the scripture, but they're really denying its inner truth. In other words, any spiritual message that doesn't keep turning you toward enlightenment and liberation is a denial. Now, there are fake scriptures, fake books. After all, the world's filled with fake religion. The fake religions have scriptures and they have holy texts and God's precious promises if you're a fundamentalist Protestant. But it denies the truth. It says, you're a poor little pitiful thing. Oh, you're subject to death and misery. But if you please God and you follow his laws, well, then everything will be good for you. It's a lie. And they're talking about these people, a lot of them. We have in this life and previous lives thought we're wonderful people. Thought we learned from them. They taught us. They are full of worldly desires and hungry for the rewards of heaven because you see, heaven is not the goal. Amida Buddha created a paradise for the faithful and those who would invoke his name. And I remember a friend of mine told me about reading about a very dedicated Zen monk who moved into a little hut to do spiritual discipline, and a follower of Amida had lived there before him, and there was a large picture of Amida Buddha on the wall. And when he went in, he wasn't a fool. He didn't disrespect Amida, but he just looked at it and said, Amida Buddha, you and I can stay together in this little hut, but don't expect me to come to your paradise. This is the understanding we should have. So when they say do this and you have good luck, we shouldn't even want to bother with it. So it says they teach elaborate rituals which are supposed to obtain pleasure and power for those who perform them. Every religion has it. Some of them aren't ritualistic people, so you just pray and you pray and pray, and oh dear God, if it is your holy will, but you want to convince God that it is His holy will, and so they go on, you see. But actually, they understand nothing except the law of karma that chains men to rebirth. Now, a lot of people who pretend to be yogis will try to fool you with this nonsense too. Don't let them do it. Just because they say they're yogis doesn't mean they are. That's why it was to me a shock, but also a very good thing when uh, I read in Gajanana Maharaj's teachings that constantly said, false teachers, false yoga. And I realized that's right. So, how about me looking around and at me too to see what's true and what's false? Those whose discrimination is stolen away by such talk grow deeply attached to pleasure and power. And so they are unable to develop that concentration of the will which leads the man to absorption in God because they're splitting the very focus of their spiritual eye. Oh, this gives count, that's good. Oh, this pleases God, I will do it. Oh, this is the way of the masters. But it says those who run around, uh, when I was a little kid, they would talk about people, they'd say they run around like a chicken with his head chopped off. Rather horrible simile, but if you haven't seen a chicken with its head chopped off, and I'm sorry to say I have, well, for quite a while, the body keeps spasming. And so they jump and they jump and they jump and they roll around and everything. They don't really run, actually. But that's how most people live, utterly scattered. There was a great humorist, a Canadian humorist named Stephen Laycock, and he wrote a satire of the novel Jane Eyre. And in it, he talks about the man that's supposed to be the main hero. And he says he ran out the door, jumped on his horse, and rode madly off in all four directions. And so a lot of people try to do that. They go in all directions at once. But there's just one focus to have. All right. The Vedas teach us about the three gunas and their functions. We're going to talk about those at great length later. Guna means quality, but in this case, it means the behavior of things, thoughts, objects, actions, which manifest according to those qualities. And let it be that. It's just conditionings. You, Arjuna, must overcome the three gunas. I say we'll talk about that later. And there is a stage of liberation. It's called Trigunatita, being beyond the three gunas. You must be free from the pairs of opposites cold, hot, pain, pleasure, dark, light, and so on. Because, of course, we always take one of those and say, I want that and not this. Desire and aversion both bind you and both create a karma. So, what you dislike will come to you in the future as much as what you like. Got to think about that, especially in relation to people and situations and places you don't like. So then he says something very right. Poise your mind in tranquility. And therefore, one of the way at this moment for tranquility is for me to say, to be continued next time. Namaste. Thank you.